Good evening, everybody. Welcome to The Uncomfortable Truth, episode 9. Don't forget to share, like, and subscribe. Sammy boy, how are you, my man?
I'm doing all right. This whole things at the moment been a bit shaky, but yeah, we're gonna get through it. We're gonna get through it.
We're going to get through it. It's been a big week. It's been a big week in football. Conclusion to the Champions Leagues,
Oof.
the actual Champions League group stages. I think the big news from all this is Barcelona
Yeah,
humming that Europa League tune.
they're down bad. And it's the first time since like 2000 they haven't qualified for the next stage.
Oh well, what it couldn't happen to a better club.
Yeah, I think the whole Premier League is loving it right now. I think they're absolutely loving it.
Yeah, but you know what? Even though in the Champions League there was no casualties with regards to
Mm.
the Premier League teams, it wasn't a particularly great week. If Liverpool aside, Man City lost.
Yeah,
Lost a lot. Chelsea drew
see, Drew.
to with Zenit.
Yeah,
United drew to Swiss cheese.
again,
Like,
this club. Uh, yeah, it's not been the greatest of week. Even in Europa, you had Leicester, you had a bit of a shocker,
mm,
and have been knocked down to the Europa Conference League, which is I
I
don't
don't even
even
know.
know what to,
Well, Brendan
as
doesn't even know.
yeah, he doesn't even know what it is, so I don't know how they're gonna handle that.
Yeah.
West Ham though have still done quite well in Europa, despite like the recent
Wait.
result, but.
Yeah, well, that's the thing, isn't it? And it raised the interest and debate. And I got to say, like
Mm,
the Leipzig one drew my eye. And you always hear this slander when it comes to these European teams. And I don't know if it's the
mm,
case with the Prem. I don't know if it's people who just exclusively watch Premier League,
mm.
as they're called, Premier League merchants. But
Yeah,
but this is the thing, like Man City, who are top, reigning champions, they lost to a team who are 11th in Germany. Now,
yeah,
even with Man City B team, we're told that they're top four, so they should really be like challenging, surely. Like they lost that, you know.
yeah,
West Ham lost, yeah, West Ham probably definitely they had a bit of more of a B team.
yeah.
But it raises the question, are these European leagues that we keep going on about, are they these farmers leagues? We always hear the slander,
Mm,
pub league, lasagna league, farmers liga.
Liga,
You hear it. You hear it all the time. You hear it all the time.
yeah,
And I think tonight I want to explore that. I really want to explore it. I want to look at the
mm,
the other four big leagues, and actually go through why is it that these leagues face slander? What is the definition of a pub league? And I think that's
yeah,
probably a good point to start there. Why is it?
mm.
What makes the Premier League that much better than all these other leagues in Europe?
Well, you always hear it's the competitiveness about the Premier League that like any
Mm,
week you don't know what's going to happen every week. You don't know what's going to happen every year. Like last year, Man City won. Year before it was Liverpool, but then we also had the close races of literally them on literally City winning by 1 point, and then you had City's first Premier League title being won on goal difference, which you
mm,
don't really see happening anywhere else. And in other leagues, and like especially with like the Leicester one as well, I think that's what really set it over the edge because
mm.
you don't really get that in other countries. Like we would like in other countries, you get like you kind of have a good idea of these people are going to win or these are going to be like the top two. No one else is really going to have a say in what goes on.
Mm.
And I think the general belief is that in the Premier League, anything can happen more often than not. So I think that's
Yeah.
like the big thing.
Do you think there's an element of success in terms of Europe? Do you think that's what fans tend to base it on? And guys, in the live chats or if
Mm,
you're in the background to call in, don't forget to use the links below in the description and have your say. We want to have that interaction because this is a real fan based topic, isn't it? We hear a lot of fans say, I'm seeing it now in the live chats, Ford's Liga. And
uh,
and we want to know what is your definition of a pub, because ultimately, is it the talent, is it the players there, is it
mm,
the level of competition? the teams in these leagues? Is
Mhm.
it that? So, throughout the evening, we're going to look at lots of different leagues.
Yeah.
If you feel that you're particularly strong on certain leagues, then feel free to call in, and go through it. Or if you are a massive hater of these leagues, I
Yeah.
know a few people behind the
Oh
scenes who hate
no.
certain leagues,
Mm.
but feel free to call in, because I want to be challenged, and I know Sam will want to be challenged.
Yeah.
There's certainly that you've got a preference for, and yeah, let's kick on with it. So I think with myself, first and foremost, I think it's probably worth looking at ligue,
Oof.
aka the Uber Eats league.
Uber
I
Eats League.
when it comes to pub leagues and everything like that, I'm not sure it's a good start from a marketing point of view to have
To be
Uber Eats,
honest,
but
I
here we
don't
are.
even I don't even know how Uber Eats found the money to like sponsor the whole league. That's just that in and of itself is just that's a bit sad, isn't it? Like your whole league is now associated with Uber Eats, and everyone has to deal with that on a regular basis. And it's always going to be called the Uber Eats League from now on.
It's a real shame, but I think it's a good league to kick off with, and there's going to be a theme here. We're going to keep
Mm,
going back to the same points in terms of, are these leagues are farmers leagues? For me, like, one thing that you talked about was competition. Now I'm going to challenge you here and
mm,
say the Premier League isn't really that competitive from a title race perspective, because
mm,
for me, I look at this and I'm like, well, Man City won it easily last year,
mm.
and you look
The
at the
year
year
before.
before. There was only one season which you talked about, which was the season with Man City and Liverpool
Mm,
getting the high 90s last day and everything like that. So that is probably the only time I can think of a competitive league. I think Chelsea have won it halfway through a season pretty much and coasting
mm.
under Conte. Even Leicester, like, how competitive was it when Leicester won it? You had Spurs with a few games to go, like, but they just never really
They
felt like they
came,
were
yeah.
there. So I'm not overly convinced that from a title perspective, that the Premier League is actually that competitive. It's got big teams.
Mm.
I don't
Yeah,
think you could ever
definitely.
argue against the big six, so to speak. And
Some people will. Some people will. Some certain teams in that shouldn't really be there, but
that
we're gonna
that
move on
that's
from that.
yeah,
So this is
that's a show for another time. That's a show for another time. But stay tuned potentially for that subject.
yeah.
But for me, I look at the French league, and people say it's just PSG. It's just PSG. But look at who won it last year. Look at the fact
Mm,
that with a few games to go, it was a four-horse race in terms of winning that league.
yep.
You had Lille, you had PSG, you
Yeah.
had Monaco and Marseille.
So,
And yes, PSG are probably the more dominant team there, but
mm.
they're not the only team who win it. Do you know what I mean? Even thinking back, like what, like
You're
10 years
going,
ago.
yeah, you're going back. Woof.
Well, it's not. Is it bad? Look. If you want to compare Premier League to French league, I think there might be, more winners in the French league at this point.
Ooh. Yeah, I think there might be actually.
So again,
Hmm.
hang on. How can the French league present a more of a competitive season in terms from a title winning perspective? How is it that
Mm,
you could get more winners of the trophy, but
mm.
it feels like to me it's contradicting. I don't get
Yeah.
it. I don't get it, and I think it's a bit of rose tinted glass, isn't it, when it comes to the Premier League? And then I see these teams in Europe, and I see Lyon. Lyon
Yeah.
beat Man City, quite recently. You see the rise of Lille. You've got PSG who are in the final, not
Mm.
last season, but the season before
Season
against
before.
Bayern Munich, and they're regularly getting into, after they've got over that hoodoo, you've got PSG getting into semis and finals now. So that
Yeah.
is that is the thing. So that is the key thing for me. So that's the level of competition. So I see competitiveness with these big teams in Europe.
Yeah.
You've got the level of competition. Now, talent, and when it comes to player profiles, well, arguably you've already got a dream team of PSG already.
Yeah.
And we haven't even scratched the surface
Yeah.
of the talent that comes from France. Where when
Yeah.
you look at transfer rumors and everything like, there's so many players from France over the last few years. There's been so many. There's been so many there.
Yeah.
So like for me, and hopefully we can get some graphics on here when it comes to actually some players on here, and I think we'll have got a caller who's a big fan of the French league, of the old Ligue 1. So yeah, hopefully we can get them on shortly. But yeah, for me, there is definitely talent out there. There is definitely talent out there. The biggest one, is Kylian Mbappe. Like this guy is constantly dominating the headlines. He's probably, along with another player that we're going to talk about later on, he's the guy who's linked with Real Madrid. So will he sign? Will he go? Either way, he's going to create a lot of interest. And again, he is from France. You know what I mean? So anyway, we've got our caller here. It looks like Mr. ZT himself.
Oof.
Master of the French League, I hear.
How's it going, lads? Can you not hear me?
Now we can hear you loud and clear.
Yes, indeed. Yeah, the Ligue 1 is, you're definitely talking about one of the most entertaining, exciting leagues in my point of view. I'm a huge fan of it. Over the years, it's been probably the most exciting league in terms of emerging talent. Has it been the best out of all the forefronts? No, it hasn't. We can all agree with that. But the talent that is there, that when people talking about talent, when people talk about the style of football, and all of these words that likes to be thrown around in terms of skill, part of possession, all of that is within that league. It's just looking at the talents that you've just posted up there. Tchouameni's one of the best young midfielders in the world right now. You got Guri, who is possibly one of the most exciting young attackers coming up, and Boubacar Kamara. You've got some decent talents there, and I hear a lot of people talk about the Premier League is exciting because it's so unexpected. Leicester win the league, and it's like, oh my God, this is what makes the Prem the best league in the world. Lille win the league, PSG bottled it. Okay, how come when Leicester won the league, the other big dogs never bottled it? And there's more big dogs in the Premier League than there is in Ligue 1. So what does that tell you? And other than the season with Liverpool, if you look at the gaps in between the leagues, it's crazy. Last season in Ligue 1 was the first time I've probably seen a 4-horse race in a long time. And when I say a 4-horse race, I'm talking, some of the audience might be too young to remember, but I'm going way back to the days when it was United, Arsenal, Chelsea, Newcastle, even Leeds were in the mix at that times. And those 4-horse races, these were around February, March times.
That's like 90s.
I ain't seen that. I had 90s, early 2000s. I ain't seen that since.
And to be fair, Z, you look at that top 4 in France. They're not exactly bum teams. You know what I mean? Monaco, another league winner. I can't believe we forgot to sort of mention that. So Marseille and and Lille, who were the eventual champions. We haven't even touched upon Lyon, who by their standards actually probably had a poor season. So how are these farmer teams or pub teams and everything like that? I just think it's a bit disingenuous. I don't know if it's people just trying to be a bit quirky with the comments. Maybe they might get a few more likes because of it, a bit of banter. But these teams have, they've been competitive against the English teams. They've even beaten a number of English teams. I think you even got the likes of Rennes who've played, and they're a good team as well. They've been very, very consistent in the last few years. So but going back, because I say you are a big follower of these leagues, so it'd be really good to get a player profile, we're going to do guys. We're going to do a player watch list in terms of just a snapshot of some big players that we've seen in terms of top talents. But yeah, Z, starting off with Gary, I know you're a big fan of this guy. So yeah, let's hear a bit more about him.
Well, you're talking about, because this is what I mean when you're talking about the French league, and after it's talking about talents which have now come into the Prem. Mahrez being one of them, Hazard, some exciting wingers that we've seen St. Maximin come in, and after there's a lot of people been excited by him. This kid has got it all, man. And for the audience who will remember Leon of the past, and I'm talking when Leon, this is the thing about France. France was very excited for its wingers. We go far back as Thierry Henry, when Thierry Henry was a winger. And we're talking about, the Sydney goal views, the Benzema. This is when Benzema was a winger, and a lot of people won't even actually recall that. We're talking way back, even when Ben Arthur was coming around. And this is what this kid is. He can play as a wide man, he can play as a striker, he can play as a cam. And it gives me a sort of a Hazard feel when Hazard was at Lille, and it also gives me sort of a bit of a Benzema feel, that pure arrogance, that swagger, that the confidence to take players on. And someone who I will question sometimes is how he applies himself. There has been a few issues of recent. Today's game, he actually got taken off penalty duties. He's had a few fallouts with management, but under the right management, he is someone that is going to be spoken about. And it's so weird because the audience will be like, nah, he's been overrated, he's doing it in the French league. And then afterwards, if he was to sign for their club, it automatically becomes like, oh my God, I saw him in the French league. We saw it with Arsenal fans with Nicolas Pepe. And it's like, when Arsenal signed him for 72 mil, there weren't no hype in France from people saying, oh, they got someone great. Like when Hazard was signed, or when there weren't that hype. It was just like, okay, yeah, you got that guy there. Yeah, but this kid's definitely one. I think he's on last season, he averaged 20 plus goal contributions. I think this season he's already on the verge of probably blowing that under the water. He is one of the top assisters in the league. I think he's just behind Kylian Mbappe right now at this present moment. So he is quality.
That's impressive.
So I when you were describing them, I was almost thinking, and the whole sort of Leon Benzema connection. See, when you said that, I started thinking of Rayan Cherki, who we've also got on the watch list. This guy, very versatile. When I look at him, this is a real sort of eye test thing where you just like look at his dribbling and you're thinking, oof, this guy knows how to play football. And that's what you want to watch football for, isn't it? These players who can generate that excitement. And the guy's only 18, and very, very similar in that respect. I don't know if you agree in terms of that versatility and that skill ability.
Yeah, most definitely. I do agree that he is a talented player. I will still like him to take more ownership when he's on the pitch and try to cement his place in the squad, but his development's going well. Leon are a bit of a roller coaster compared to the Leon that we knew in the early thousands. And these are things as well that people don't understand. Similar to Lille just now as well. They lost their manager. They're having a few financial issues. And it's surprising that they were able to hold their squad, because if people actually recall, the last time Lille won the Ligue 1, they lost big players like Digne. They lost players like Johan Cabaye. They lost players like Payet, Hazard. They lost some big players. So just going back to Cherki, you're talking about, when you look at the whole profile, everything is there. Yeah. But what is it? And this is what I mean. It's about coming to apply yourself. And what I've noticed ever since Kylian Mbappe, because France have had superstars in the past, which players that have gone on to be great, but France have not had a Kylian. They've never had someone come out like Kylian Mbappe. And the people are going to be like, wow, what do you mean? Thierry Henry, Zidane. None of these players were on the same level or same rise as Kylian Mbappe. So what tends to happen in football is people try their best to reinvent that. And there's always been this little rivalry in terms of the academy beefs. And the Lyon and Monaco, even though they do great business with each other, if people actually do the research, there's still a little beef going on, and the media love to do it. And they're trying to reinvent that Kylian Mbappe. They're trying to recreate that poster boy. And Cherki's got all the right attributes, but I'd like him to take ownership of his place more. And right now, I saw a kid coming up, and now I'm thinking he might be going down the route of Hossam Awar, who's kind of stalled a bit compared to where he was meant to be. So with Cherki, I'm going to be a bit patient on him because he is young. And last season was the first time we actually saw him really get going. But it could also be down to what's going on at Lyon, the uncertainty, the roller coaster. And, they lost Memphis Depay, which is also a big character within their team.
Yeah. Big hit.
I think, and cheers for that, Z, for going through. And like I said, there is a lot of talent. And before because there's two players I want to kind of deal with hand in hand, mainly because sort of positionally, I think also from a stats point of view, it's very, very difficult to talk about. But before we do, it's going to go to the live comments. There's a few things, Z. There's people saying that you're waffling. I don't know if you wanted to just have a quick response to that.
There's a lot of water. There's a lot of, this is the thing, isn't it? It's waffle until their club signs one of these players, and then after they will go back and watch this video and be like, oh, yeah, this is what this player was. Go watch TUT. They were talking about him. He's amazing. It's always waffle, and it's funny because if it's probably coming from a bit of Chelsea fans or Arsenal fans, just go do your research. A lot of people, especially Chelsea fans, they've got a lot of arrogance about them. But you look at N'Golo Kante, you look at SCN, you look at Drogba. You look at go have a good research on your club and see where a lot of your players came from. Arsenal were built up from the French league.
So the whole Invincible team is basically.
And don't forget Newcastle as well under Pardew.
Newcastle, yeah, exactly. And this is what's weird. We call this French league a buster league, right? But okay, let's go through the top teams, right? Okay, Pogba. He's not come from the French league, so I'll excuse him. But he came from a French academy, because if anyone wants to question that, he actually came to United when he was 15 years old. So he came from a French academy. Yeah. Then I'll say, let's go from players that come from Ligue 1. Mahrez at City, Bernardo Silva. Are they not important members? Mendy, who I heard was the best goalkeeper in the world 5 matches ago. Where's he come from? N'Golo Kante, who arguably could go down as probably the best DM to grace the sport. He's come from the French league. Thiago Silva, where's he just coming from?
Yeah,
the French league. Do you get what I mean? And it just goes to show. And these guys are not busters. Regardless of what we say about them, they're not busters. So it shows that this league is producing. Benzema, who's seen as probably the best player or best striker in the world, arguably. And where's he come from? League on.
Was he? I'm going to hold you there because I've got on the live chats. We've got M9 Shaka saying Arsenal got ripped off for Pepe, who was obviously a big talent in Liga, and has he really lived up to that transfer fee? It's a good question. It's a very, very good question to counter what you're saying there. So you've got another comments here from Wera talking about Hazard and Osimhen being talents from French league.
Big up Victor.
Massive shout. Massive shout. Yeah, we'll discuss Victor very, very shortly. I think somebody has taken him into another league now. No, Sam. But stay tuned for that conversation. But no, there's some really good interaction I can see here on the live chat. So keep it coming in. And if you don't agree with any of these comments and you want to call in, you want to slander the French league, then hit that link, get involved, call in, challenge us.
Yeah, that's the thing. That's the thing, isn't it? This is the beautiful thing about football, isn't it? This is the beautiful thing about football. And another point, this is what's weird because I see the live chats, I see the comments. It just goes to show you, and also this is a different league, also, which I'm pretty sure you'll probably end up covering. People call all bum leagues, but Lewandowski should have won the Ballon d'Or. So, hold up.
That's a bit
keep that stewing in the background. Yeah, just marinate that every so often.
But this is it's crazy, isn't it? Because you've got to look at these things and you've got to think to yourself, these are talented footballers. We call this league. We know it's not to the level of the Premier League. We know that, right? But doesn't mean that these leagues are bum leagues. It's just something that sounds fashionable, because they've been dominating this. They've been dominating world football for years. If you look at some of the best players throughout decades, they've actually come from Ligue 1.
Well,
The only problem is Ligue 1 haven't been
I'm
able
going
to
to challenge you
sustain
there,
that talent.
Z. I'm going to challenge you there. And Sam, I want you to provide a.
Okay.
I want you to come in with the opinion first, and Z to follow up afterwards. But when you look at the leagues, you know, we had this summer the whole Super League push.
Yes.
And a big part of that was, you know, from Perez, he had real concerns about the nature of where the European football was going, that a lot of these leagues can't compete, not only sort of financially with the Premier League, thus hoovering the talents, but just the general entertainment factor in fans' viewership, that wasn't going to be there anymore. Now, if that's the case and these leagues weren't pub leagues, then why would you need a Super League? Why would they be that proposal in the first place? Why would Perez be wanting to? And Perez is he does like to look at football and see where it's going. You know, fans do like to see the best teams play. I see some Super Sunday fixtures when Burnley are playing, you know, Crystal Palace is not getting that engagement because it's not the big teams. You know, I see people complain about Champions League if they're not big fixtures. You know, we were very privileged to get Barcelona, Bayern Munich this week. But would people be so gassed up if it was Shakhtar and Sheriff? Probably not. I'd love to see the human figures there. So there is that pushback, because ultimately we're saying that all these leagues are great and very talented. But if the viewerships aren't there, then it must be there for a reason.
Yeah, well, for me, I think it's because if you think about the era in which like social media has become quite big, and the way, and during that time, certain leagues were not as popular or on top of football. So if you like, so it's like the French league wasn't doing that well during like the early 2010s, and like these leagues weren't at the very top, and you're more looking towards like the Premier League teams that was starting to dominate the Spanish teams. So I think during that time, you have all people are like around my age, because I'm a bit of a younger one. All of them, like, that's the only thing they've had that much access to. So they've now kind of stuck with this mentality of, oh, because of this particular I've only seen this team because I've never heard of this other team during my time. They must be a bad team. I think it's because people aren't willing to take the time to watch and like see what other leagues are doing. They just focus on like what was big at that moment and are still hanging on to that. Because if you look at some of those teams that were really big then, right now they're not doing so well, but they're still getting the viewing numbers. Like Barcelona are still getting lots of viewing numbers, but they've been down bad for how long now? They've literally become a laughing stock, just being knocked out of the Champions League during the group stages. And I think people are just holding on to that past. Oh, I kind of like when they were a bit younger, they kind of grew up with these certain teams, so they're gonna push the agenda for them. And they just don't have the access to these other teams and these other leagues.
Yeah. And you know, you touched upon Barcelona. You know, we're going to look at, you know, the rise and fall of a league, or is it a phoenix rebirth in terms of what's there? So stay tuned, because we will be talking about that a little bit later on. And the same thing when it comes to Serie A, when it comes to, you know, arguably one of the biggest leagues, and you know, is it now?
Biggest,
It was.
So you know, definitely stay tuned for that shortly. See, just going back to Liga, now these two players I want to talk about, Boubacar Kamara and Tchouaméni. These players, in terms of centre midfielders, Tchouaméni's probably like the most popular transfer rumored guy in terms of this guy. When you look at his attributes, what he's doing, this, you know, for someone who's 21, this guy's a man mountain already, absolute man mountain. And for me, I'm thinking, you know, he does he fit into a Liverpool? Does he fit into a Chelsea? Does he fit into Manchester United, Real Madrid? I think probably, other than perhaps this new Barca approach, I'm thinking this guy fits into pretty much all the teams in Europe. So I think he's really exciting.
He fits into all. I think he fits into all, because I think people are forgetting the style of play he plays. And credit to Fofana, his partner at Monaco. Credit to him. They often switch. One day, Tchouaméni's going to say, I'm going to sit. Fofana's going to say, I'm going to be the one to chase. And they can both do different variants of the game. You saw when France were playing and he was partnered with Pogba, he picked up the Kante role. And the kid was such a young kid. You know, it just shows you the maturity in his game, his passing range, his physicality, his reading of the game. And he's not just, you know, I'll say Boubacar Kamara is more rash in terms of like, he's almost like a more technical Wan-Bissaka kind of way. He, you know, he's a bit rash with it in terms of he likes getting on the floor, getting his shorts muddy and everything and so on, but his reading of the game isn't as great. Tchouaméni's standard is quality. And what I did notice was he had Cesc in his team and he learnt some passing off that kid. You can tell that you watch him and you watch Cesc and it's just amazing how it's like for like, how he's trying to find that ball that can cut through. As he's not always looking for, you know, to put his foot in. He's looking to intercept. He's looking to time it, kind of push the guy onto the weaker foot and transition it to attack. He's not always looking to see the ball out, which is something you don't often see from midfielders. I used to see these things from classical midfielders, you know, like the Makelelis and everything. He don't want to see the ball out. He wants to keep the ball on the pitch unless it's full ultimate danger.
Do we go as far as to say could this be the missing piece for France in terms of that Matuidi role? Because
most definitely.
Because I look at France. Look, a lot of people. Sorry, not everyone, but a lot of people do like France. They like the talent that's in that French national team. But I always look at that midfield, and I feel like that midfield's just not quite right.
They're saying without,
and I think they've missed Matuidi, and I think they need that player. And I kind of feel like Tchouaméni is that guy to certainly be there with Pogba and possibly Kante, or the eventual replacement of Kante. So I don't think he is a Kante player personally. I think he's more like Blaise Matuidi.
He's more he's a Matuidi / Petit kind of player. He's similar to Petit. And he's got likings to Deschamps as well. Like he's a very old school. He's an old school midfielder. And there's another kid that's also similar to him in the liking, Gorna, who's playing at Saint Etienne. He's a young kid, very similar. And you know, for years to come, I was having a heart attack when I heard Chelsea were linked to Tchouaméni. I was thinking, this is game over. If they get him, I'm scared. I was having a heart attack. I was worried. But, you know, it goes. But wait, lads, I'm going to try pop back. I've literally got a did. So great as always.
Right, so man's gonna go. No, it's good player profile. Good player profile on the guy. So I appreciate your call. So just finally, thanks for that from Z. Finally, I think, Sam, it'd be rude not to mention the top scorer, and that's Jonathan David at Lille. You know, 21. You know, he's already scored as many, I think he scored as many goals he did last season, and we're not even halfway through. You know, he scored more than Mbappe. You know, I think that's the headline I want to say. And just looking at live comments, I know we're talking about the French league, and we've barely even mentioned Lionel Messi and Mbappe, but the reality is, like, yes, these guys are there, but you know Messi and Mbappe. We don't need to do a player watch list on those guys. If it is, then you're obviously very new to football, and apologies in advance. But I've just come to the conclusion that you guys' knowledge on these players are pretty strong at this point. So I wanted to sort of introduce more, you know, the flavour of the months, the up and coming talents that we're seeing, because ultimately those players sell themselves, don't they? So. But yeah, it is good to see. But the French league, for me, I don't think it's a pub league. I think what it is it looks like it's a bit of a stepping stone. It's a great stepping stone. It's a very competitive stepping stone. I think there's a lot of players out there who can blossom without any pressure at all and ply their trade. You know, a player who we obviously know very, very well, with Angel Gomez. You know, didn't get anything at United. He got his loan in Portugal, but now, you know, he's in the squad for Lille. Made a bit of an impact this week in the Champions League. But that's what I'm saying. Like, you do have that opportunity, and I think you've got to give flowers to leagues that will provide opportunities to talents. Because look, we're not all here just to sit and look for world-class talents. People just don't become world-class overnight. They have to build their skill at some point. And I think with the Premier League, and I think this is a bit of a downside of the Premier League, it's very, very difficult to come in through the academy enough and always dominate. Now, there's certain teams who've been able to do that and do that quite well. And Chelsea is the first team that sort of springs to mind.
It's Chelsea, but Chelsea do their own system where they just loan them out to one of these smaller clubs to get the opportunities that they wouldn't get in that club. Granted, they used to be quite bad at just getting through players. Look what the likes of KDB, what happened to like Mo Salah, Lukaku. They weren't actually originally quite good at that, but I think the realization of them being able to give them opportunities at these smaller clubs, because there's this issue in the top half that they want you to be the completed project without giving you that much time to really grow, unless your team is in desperate need of you.
So I'm gonna stick my neck out. I'm gonna say that the French league is not a farmers league, but what it is, possibly a creche for the gifted.
Oh no.
That's a backhanded compliment if I've ever heard one. But as you said, you do get a lot of players starting careers there, and you've got to pay respect to that. Otherwise, you don't get these players later on in life. We wouldn't be celebrating Eden Hazard. We wouldn't be playing the compilations of people like him.
Even as far back as Ronaldinho.
Yeah, that is a huge shout. People like him and JJ Okocha and people. So I mean, anyway, we can't even touch about Drogba. We could be here all day, we could be all day, but we must. The show must move on. And Z touched upon Robert Lewandowski, and look, Bundesliga, the Farmers Liga. Like, my goodness me, like this place. I'm seeing graphics on it. I posted it on Instagram midweek, saying, hang on, Man City, who are top, just lost to a team of 11th in the Bundesliga, but I'm told that this is the Farmers Liga. Like, have a day off. What are you talking about? So I did find that quite amusing. And when you're seeing this and the graphics and the level of disrespect, don't forget Jadon Sancho. Look at the hate that this guy has had. People saying it's a Farmers Liga because of Jadon Sancho not hitting. And
then Kai
Havertz, he's certainly, this guy's been cooking on the lowest temperature for like the last bloody season and a half. You've got Timo Werner. There is that slander. There's some high profile casualties that have come from there. Kagawa, perhaps Mkhitaryan. Even though Mkhitaryan, he did all right in Europe, but in the Prem it was tough. But you are seeing that. I think. Well, and again, the argument here is he more of a French talent? But you got Aubameyang who came from Dortmund, who he's got credible numbers. But one of the big things I really want to talk about with Bundesliga, and we've actually got a caller on to be involved in this Bundesliga chat. But I think what I want to talk about is the managers, because at this moment in time, we're saying Bundesliga is a dead league, a pub league. But you look at the managers at the moment, there's a bit of German influence now, certainly in the Premier League, and all over in Europe. When you look at the likes of Klopp, Tuchel, Flick, those three in themselves, they're the last three Champions League winners. So what, these managers who are in the Bundesliga, but the league is crap. Nah, sorry, I don't buy it. But then you've also got Nagelsmann, possible winner of this year's Champions League.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's like, and then you got Rangnick, who's now just recently come to Man United. So he's the godfather of all these managers.
The granddaddy of it all.
Yeah, the professor. So there is a bit of German influence, but we've got two callers on, and we've got Dark Horse and we've got Zach. So guys, hang on, we've got Zach. Bundesliga is just a bum league, so I think we know where this is going. So guys, welcome to the show. Dark Horse, let's. What are your thoughts?
Hello guys.
All right.
So my thoughts are, Can you guys hear me?
Yeah,
Yeah,
we'll start. Zach, yeah, we can hear you both. But we'll start with Dark Horse, and then Zach will then go to you after with your bum league comments. Go ahead, Dark.
Okay, so like my point is like, okay, so the Bundesliga is less competitive than most of the other leagues. Like Bayern have won it 9 times in a row, and will probably win the 10.
Good point. Yeah.
Yeah. So like it is less competitive than the other leagues. It's a fact. Like it's a fact. You can't deny it. But it's still like one of the like in terms of quality, it's actually really good. Like you might think, okay, because one team is winning the whole every year, so that means the other teams are pretty poor.
Yeah.
But like if you actually look at those teams, like they actually do decent in the Champions League and the Europa League.
Yeah.
And they actually they have really good players and really good talents that are sort of all over Europe. And like the thing is about Bayern is like they're just too good for the league. Like the league isn't bad, but Bayern like just above the league, like just too good for the league. And about people saying that because of Werner and Sancho and Havertz flopping in the Premier League, like there's lots of players that came from the Premier League and did well. The player of the season for the last 2 years came from the Bundesliga, Kevin De Bruyne. And people call him the best player in the Premier League.
Yeah.
That is a very good shout. Very good shout. Because obviously we're looking at, in terms of the player watch list, we're looking at the players who are currently, doing things. But that is a huge shout. So yeah, hats off there.
Even his partner Ilkay Gundogan is a German Bundesliga player as well. So
basically, what we're saying is, if you're Man City and you want to get something from Bundesliga, it will work. So Q Jude Bellingham.
Oh, we're gonna see all the links. People are gonna be upset. It's gonna be bad.
Yeah, Zach. Zach, Bundesliga is just a bum league. Go on then.
Yes,
surprise me with your comments.
Absolutely. Listen, my name. No one can prove me wrong. Let me tell you why. Yeah, I'll give you one good example. Leipzig, they challenged Bayern last year, right? Yeah, what happened? They took their manager, took their best defender, took their best midfielder. Bro, like, what is that, bro? Like, that's just disgraceful, man. Pull me another league, which you'll see that. Sabitzer, hold on, let's break down their squad. All right? So you got Neuer, came from Schalke. You got Pavard, came from I think Stuttgart. You got Kimmich, Stuttgart, Gnabry, Stuttgart. You got Lewandowski, stolen from Dortmund. Yeah. Sabitzer, Leipzig, Leipzig. They took their manager, bro. Nah, that's peak, man, and the quality is not good. It's actually not good, bro.
But Zach, I'm gonna sort of come at you there. So yeah, you're saying that it's not particularly great. It's not overly competitive. It happens more often than you think when it comes to other European leagues. And I'll probably ask you questions on what your thoughts are on the other leagues. As I said, you've gone out there saying it's a bum league, so I want to get your snapshot view of the other leagues shortly. But doesn't that make it quite exciting that you with Bayern, they have created a super team, and to a point that this team is really dominating in Champions League. They're nobody wants to be drawn against Bayern Munich, and isn't that testament to the Bundesliga at the end of the day? Like, this is a top team, and it's not. Is it their fault that they're quite savvy and they've got a game plan when it comes to basically having the best talents in each position? Should they be judged for that? Because ultimately, have they created now a very competitive rival for the Champions League?
Well, based on that point, I have a conspiracy theory about this. I think the Bundesliga is just Bayern's academy.
Oh, just one second.
They give them
Zach,
all
Zach, if I'm going to
Champions League.
Zach, if I can just interrupt you there. Sorry, buddy, to interrupt, but you were very robotic and broken up there. So I want everybody. Yeah, I want everybody to be able to hear your points. So yeah, let's hear that conspiracy theory again with not such a bum signal in this case.
Yeah. Or what I was saying was, I think there's a conspiracy, because why are all the clubs just willing to give all your best players to one specific team? Like, it's like the German FA, whatever, just wants to Bayern to do well in the Champions League to represent the country of Germany. It's just ridiculous at this point. You know what I'm saying? Like in the Premier League, talents are spread across the big six clubs. There, like let's say Man City, Man United, a player can either go to one of them, but in the Bundesliga, if Dortmund or Bayern, a player from let's say Stuttgart was to be bought by Dortmund, Bayern, or Schalke, or whatever, he'll just go to Bayern. Will just take him straight away. There's no competition within transfer business dealings, contracts, etc. It's just really peak for the other teams. To be honest, there's no point fighting.
I got a question. Because I can see your profile pic. Isn't that Leno from Germany?
No, it's Ramsdale.
Oh,
It's Ramsdale. Ah, okay.
Sam, are you saying that all Arsenal goalkeepers?
I couldn't see that too well.
Sam, are you saying that all Arsenal goalkeepers look the same?
No, they're just all trash. Looks similar. Trash just looks similar to me. I'm not gonna lie. If I see trash, it all looks like trash. Is a bit peak like that. But I was gonna actually name one of your recent players that has been a somewhat controversial player, but on his day, we've seen his ability. Mesut Ozil isn't like he is definitely a player that could have gone to Bayern Munich. Could he have not?
That's a question but Real Madrid came knocking, bro. I mean, you're not going to refuse to go to Real Madrid, the biggest club in world football, over Bayern Munich, to be fair.
Yeah. Well, your whole thing is like, oh, it's just a training academy for Bayern Munich. So wouldn't every German player want to just automatically go to Bayern Munich?
Well, you are seeing that mostly you're seeing, of course, not every case you will have every player wanted to go to Bayern Munich, but my point is mostly like 80% of the players, even if you break down their squad, more than half have come from other teams within Bundesliga alone. Dortmund, however, they buy abroad. Daniel Marlin, you got Zagadou, you got other players like that who come from abroad, because Dortmund do not have the power of buying to buy within the league.
But then, if you look at the biggest transfers recently, especially with from the Bundesliga, they've gone to the Premier League, haven't they? So if you look at Havertz and Werner, they've been two very, very big players, and I'm pretty sure Bayern Munich would have wanted to have someone like, especially if they're thinking Nagelsmann is coming in, you would want a Nagelsmann person like Werner to be in your squad. So is there wouldn't you think that they would go for Havertz or Werner or players like that, especially since some of their players are actually aging and they're gonna need to redo their whole squad in a season or two?
Yeah, you could say that, but what are Werner and Havertz doing now? Stinking up the place, bro. So Bayern are probably laughing their heads off they didn't buy them. Bayern, they're smart with their signing. They don't buy crap players. Like, can you name off the top of your head 5 players that came from the Bundesliga within the past 5 years that actually balled out in the Prem? It's tough. You cannot do it. Barring Kevin De Bruyne.
Yeah, Firmino, he came from the Bundesliga, didn't he?
Yep, Hoffenheim.
That's one.
When did KDB come to?
Yeah, KDB is one because he came from Wolfsburg, was it? Or Werder Bremen?
Yeah.
I always get confused between the two.
Wolfsburg. You can talk about Gundogan as well.
Don't forget Son
Heung-min. That's 4.
Aubameyang.
That's another one as well.
There you go.
That's 5.
On that note, Zach, thank you for that challenge there. Just quickly, just one last thing before we're just gonna get final comments from Dark Horse. What are your thoughts on the Liga that we just recently talked about and Serie A in terms of those leagues? Do you think they're bum leagues as well? Just a quick comment.
League One, yeah, that's just a bum league as well. I mean, if you look at the between first and second, that's all I have to say. The Liga is a good league. Serie A, I rate that league as well. a lot of competition in there. Top four is very tight. Yeah, so Prem, La Liga, Serie, League 1, then Bundesliga. That's my order, personally.
Okay. No, that's fair. No, thank you for your comments. And I'm sorry that we beat your challenge naming 5 people that balled from the Bundesliga.
And there's more in the comments as well.
Go on, Sam. Go through them then. Go through them.
Someone said Emre Can. Another person has said.
Emre Can did though.
Yeah, it's getting weak already. Yeah, move on.
Said Rudiger.
Yeah, we can't. He has been good. He has been good.
Roman,
not for Ballon d'Or, but
not for Ballon d'Or. Yeah. So I'm seeing some Chelsea fans still want to put Havertz because of the UCL goal, but I don't think he's allowed to be there.
Get away. All right. Zach, no, I appreciate the comments there, and thank you for calling, and feel free to call in in the future weeks. Dark, just a little summary from yourself. How do you rate the top 5 leagues? So, is the Prem the best league for you?
Yeah, I agree. The Premier League is the top league. Like we've seen the past years, the Premier League has dominated Europe, and it is very competitive. I think you could say it's the most competitive right now.
Even with the comments we said about Ligue 1. The Uber Eats League. It was a 4-horse race last season, 4-horse race. But
I would say if you look at Liga overall, actually probably you could say the league winners, the highest league winners is Saint-Etienne and Marseille. They both have 10 each. So if you look at it overall, you could say it's the most competitive according to how many titles they've won each.
Yeah. So what's your top 5 then? So if Prem's number 1, let's hear the rest.
Yeah. Okay. And La Liga number 2. Because Barcelona, Real Madrid, they dominated Europe. And then I'd say number 3 is controversial one, the Bundesliga. Okay. And then I'd say number 4 is Serie, and number 5 is Liga.
Okay. Well, Dark. Okay, interesting comments, guys. Do you agree with Zach and Dark's comments? Let me know in the live comments, or if you're backstage on the calls. Feel free. Are these guys waffling, or do you completely agree with their assessment? But yeah, Dark Horse, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you a lot.
And so yeah, when there's obviously a lot of interest in Bundesliga, and I'm glad because when we're in the socials, we see it all the time. We see all these comments about Bundesliga. People always watching it for the next top talents, because it does feel a bit like with Liga. It feels like the next best thing is coming from Germany, and the last few transfer windows probably would agree with that assessment as well. But we've got another caller on. This guy's got a Mercedes-Benz badge on, so I'm thinking that he must be Bundesliga. Maybe. I think he's actually calling live outside the Mercedes Museum in Stuttgart. So, Blang, let's have you on.
Yeah. I mean, I just wanted to put it to show that the Bundesliga isn't bum anymore. It's got excellence. So this symbol means excellence. But yeah, for me, okay.
Wow,
all right. So for me, I believe the truth is between. It's somewhere in the middle. I don't want to call them Farmers League, and I don't want to call them completely, a league that is on par with the Premier League. Sure. I feel like Premier League over the past years, they've actually invested a lot of money into it, and the marketing quotient has overwhelmed the quality of the league. For me, I feel like people sometimes overrate the Premier League. The second thing would be if you're trying to say certain teams are good when they face against Premier League, I feel like there's this element of cup games. Let's be honest, the only way these teams face each other would be through the UEFA Champions League. And I feel like in a cup match, sometimes, or in most of the cases, there's an element of surprise for a team that's about to be there and whatnot. And thirdly, I feel like it's got to do with certain teams are seasoned teams. When I say seasoned teams, there's like teams that have been there, like for your your Bayerns, for example. I feel like PSG could be there because of the amount of resources they've invested over the past amount of years. So I feel like certain teams have gained the reputation of becoming like these big giants when it comes to Champions League.
Yeah.
And lastly, I also want to say there's a thing about football heritage. I'd like to believe
no.
it is true. No, I'd like to believe it is true because I feel like if you take a look at Sevilla, I mean, they've won the Europa League for what, like 5 times in a row. So yeah, you can't simply win a cup competition 5 times in a row unless and until you are well versed about it. Maybe the manager's good at it, or maybe there's a mentality or a culture within the club in itself where the players are prepared when it comes to big games. And I feel like when Liverpool lost it, I was like, okay, I've seen it once. When Man United lost against them, I was like, well, there could be an element of truth, right? There could be an element of truth.
Well, with Sevilla, and we will be talking about La Liga. So stay tuned for that. But with regards to this part with the Bundesliga, as I said, something that we touched upon earlier was the fact that you had the managers. So I don't know if we got the visuals so people can see, but the top 5 that we've picked, we've got Klopp, we've got Tuchel, Nagelsmann, Flick, Rangnick. These are big managers. Rangnick's just now come into Manchester United. Now, in terms of the level of success compared to the other guys, it's probably not seen as big. But when you actually look at how he's built these teams, the Rangnick effect with Hoffenheim, Leipzig, just keeping that gem, but generally in the overall RB structure, these guys are pretty big. Nagelsmann is seen as the next one. He's manager now at Bayern. I think I actually look at his win record, and his win record actually impresses me more than Flick's, and I'll explain why. Because Flick's looks absolutely outrageous when you look at the stats. The thing for me is he has managed Hoffenheim and he's managed Leipzig, and his win rate is still above 50%. I think that's very, very impressive.
Ridiculous.
Very, very impressive. Don't know what your thoughts are on that, Blank.
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, I agree. I've actually, I'm surprised to see someone with that crazy stat like Flick. Let's give it, like, he's come halfway through the season and he's left on a treble. Like, he went on a treble, like crazy stuff. And it's not like he was, employing bad tactics or it was just fine getting lucky. It was just simply pure amazing football that he's played. Like, he's played Barcelona off the park. And they were dominating everything, and they scored 7 over 2 legs against Chelsea. Like, you don't just do it just like that, or a span of 6 months. And Tuchel's did an amazing job last season. So for me, I'd say when it comes to Premier League, I feel like a couple of teams, and for me, there's just 2 teams that I feel like our season. I feel like Manchester City and Liverpool, because for me, if they lose against, let's say a Lille or let's say a Lyon, it is an upset. But for Man United and Arsenal, who were traditionally there as a big 4, and United, let's be honest, I'm a United fan, and reality hit me hard when Ferguson left. And the club is definitely not, a big name anymore when it comes to Europe. We have to gain that reputation now. We've lost it, unfortunately. And so for me, if there's if there are upsets, then I feel like it's just Liverpool and Man City who have gained, who have the squad and who've become seasoned either through their manager or through their roster of players. Because when City first used to come into the Premier League, the Champions League, they lost, right? Like, there were just two tournaments that they lost, Monaco, etc. And when Pep was asked the question of, why aren't you getting there? You've invested a lot of money. Well, he said, well, maybe there's a mentality issue. I feel like there is a mentality issue. Because when people get, step out on the big stage, other clubs, they've got nothing to lose. And I can say an example would be Man United when Jose got sacked, and when we went to PSG, I was like, I'm pretty sure we'd lose that. We had that element of surprise in us, and we had nothing to lose. But PSG, like, their reputation was at stake because they had bought Neymar, Mbappe, Marquinhos, like, everyone was gelling well, and they were gaining the reputation of becoming a title contender for the Champions League. So for me, I'd like to say it's got to do partly with like the element of surprise, and also the heritage, or maybe sometimes there's this tactics or the manager effect that comes into play, because Emery, he's a Europa League specialist, and probably the talk or probably the mentality he is, imparted on his players completely, helped them win 3-4, and also against Villarreal. He won it and I was ready to have it, because for me, when people said Man United, well, we had the best roster, we should be winning it. But then, let's be honest, Emery's a specialist. He knows how to. He's been there, so I'd rather bank on someone who's done it, or a team that's actually on the rise.
With that, Blank, like, it seems like you have a few interesting points when it comes to the Liga, so it might be worth you coming back in later on and really going through that, because we're going to talk about that. Is La Liga a dying league, or is it a rebirth of of a new special league? So it would be good to get your thoughts on that. But no, in terms of your overall thoughts, thank you for that, and hopefully we'll have you on a little bit later on to go through La Liga.
Sure. Absolutely, it was a pleasure talking to you guys.
Likewise, thanks, Blank.
Take care.
I hope he'll change his car badge for Spa. If he can find a decent Spanish car brand, that
especially Mercedes is a bit big because what happened earlier today, so it's a bit of a sticky one for Mercedes right now. But we're gonna let him go on.
No, but sort of swiftly, moving on. To sort of wrap up the Bundesliga, we want to do player scouting on this one. So, the players, again, the ones that are picked out, slightly contradicting myself with the Mbappe comments from earlier, but, from player scouts that will be coming up, or player watch coming up, you got your likes of your Haaland, he is, it's like the bingo when it comes to him. Who's he going to go to at this point? Rayola's been pushing for this guy.
He does his job well. He does his job well.
Yeah, he's doing his job very well. He's gonna have a very busy summer with Pogba potentially being out on free and Haaland. So you got him, and his numbers, his goals speak for itself. The Champions League for someone of his age is absolutely ridiculous. I dare someone to perhaps find a better talent in terms of that striker at that age. Maybe this is where people have that Mbappe conversation. Maybe that's a topic for another show. But
that's uncomfortable. That's an uncomfortable one.
Yeah, that's an uncomfortable one indeed. But Alphonso Davies. Now this guy, I don't know a single person who dislikes this player. He's probably seen as one of the best left backs in the world. He's got some. I think under Flick, I'll probably say he was probably even better. It's not like he's dropped off or anything like that, but he just mad. Like, he destroyed Barcelona, single-handedly destroyed Barcelona.
I remember it was one of the goals he got an assist for. I think it was one of the Müller goals or one of the Kimmich goals that he gets the ball, he dribbles to the byline, and he just literally gets there and literally just goes into the box so easily with such ease past 1, 2, 3 players. They just 5-yard pass for a tap in.
I'm not gonna lie. I'm not gonna lie. When Jose said that we were linked with this, when Man United were linked to this player, and we opted out, I had a few beers that evening. I ain't gonna lie to you.
But we know that's not a Jose player. We know he doesn't like that.
No, but again, how incredible this guy is. But we keep going. We got Jamal Musiala, who maybe a lot of Chelsea fans will probably know. They'll probably claim as their own.
They'll probably claim that one, aren't they?
I think England are pretty salty about him as well, because he's changed his allegiances to Germany, hasn't he? Florian Wirtz. I know that this guy's been talked about a lot since the old Ballon d'Or conversations. He has been good. At Leverkusen. Leverkusen are having a good season. They feel kind of relevant again. And how can we not talk about likes of Jude Bellingham? Jude Bellingham is there. He, yes, he did come from Birmingham, but since being at Bundesliga, he has fitted in perfectly. And he has risen to prominence. I think people have to accept that, whether you agree whether he will see that talent through as he gets older, but you can't deny what he's doing now. I think that real standout game against Man City really put him on the map. And fair play to him. But these are exciting players, and as we've talked about, a lot of talents have come from Bundesliga. We've been challenged on find us 5 players who've balled. We've done it. We've even given you more.
There's
so it
even
can't
more
be a
in the
dead league.
comments. There's even more in someone said Matip as well. Apparently from the Bundesliga.
If you agree or you disagree, get on that link, get on that StreamYard link and call in. But yeah, it's been good. We've actually had some really good callers. Actually, guys, I got to say, you've been brilliant actually last few weeks. So keep it coming in. We want to hear your thoughts, and we are going to tackle food related items here. You've got the lasagna league and we've got the paella league to come. So I know for a fact that you guys love watching the league. I know that there's a lot of Barcelona fanboys out there, Real Madrid fanboys out there. I know there's Vinicius. There's definitely Vinny fanboys out there. I'm calling you people out. Come on, get involved. I know there's Isak. I know there's an Isak fan in the midst.
As well.
Get involved, because as I said, the whole show's about, are these European leagues farmers leagues? And listening to a few of these comments, I'm not convinced. But it's down to you to convince me otherwise. Don't forget to share this. Do you agree with this? Like, subscribe to this channel. Don't forget to follow our socials as well. You've got myself at Jinky, and you got Dr. Hoot Sam 7. Don't forget to follow us. Banter with us. What is it actually for next week that you want to see? This is a fan interaction channel. So at the end of the day, if there's a big subject you want to talk about, then do it. But let's move on to the next segment, which is Serie A. Sam, this is your show. Yeah, this is your personal favorite. So I think I'm going to sit back. I'm going to have a cup of tea, and I'm going to listen to you teach me about this league, because I'm an old man. I know I might have youthful looks to some people, but I can remember Serie A being the number 1 league. Football Italia on Channel 4. This is how old I'm starting to sound now. This was one of the best football shows going. I'm not even kidding you. It was absolutely brilliant. The Gazzetta, and the next day, it was brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. You had some huge teams, and it wasn't even like, by today's standards, you're like, oh, it's just Juventus that's been dominant. They've won the league over and over again.
You had lots of teams.
You had teams that are still known. So you had your ACs, they were huge. You had your Inters, but by today's standards, teams like Parma had an incredible football team. Like, for any football hipsters back then, do your research on that Parma team in the late 90s. Absolutely sick. It's absolutely sick. It was a brilliant league. Absolutely better than the Premier League. A million %. Maybe an uncomfortable subject, but it really was.
Like we could even talk about, even in '99 when United beat Juventus, people were shocked. That shouldn't have happened. Juventus were a very big powerhouse, and to come out with that win, people were actually very shocked that would happen, because the Premier League back then wasn't seen as a very competitive, like a top league with like all the best players, and for them to go out and beat one of the most dominant teams in Italy, people were like, what's really going on here? Like, this shouldn't have happened. I
for me, I feel like Italian football has fallen from grace personally, and I kind of do. I'm going to stick my neck out. I do think it is a bit of a pub league now, but because they set the bar so high, and now it's like, well, who's really representing? You see that league. It's only until last season with Inter and Conte. It's been Juventus. In terms of the talent, and obviously this is where you're going to teach me now. The talents are out there. I don't see it as much as I perhaps see it with the French leagues and the German leagues. So you kick away.
Well, the first thing that we have to say is Italian football is back. The best example of it, Euro 2021, but it was Euro 2020. The whole Italian team was just a perfect example of why everything is looking up for Italian football right now. If you look at that roster of players, even though some of them aren't currently playing in Italy, you saw them playing Italian football. That was typical Italian football. People call it boring. People have all these nicknames for it. Park the bus, boring. Like we don't want to see it. But when you're winning, you're winning a whole tournament, basically being the best country in Europe, I don't think you can really complain about that. Like, I think it was the fact because of the World Cup in 2018 that they didn't qualify. People were actually not banking on them to really do much, and then they came through with like quite a roster of players that some weren't even known that well prior to that tournament, but then they came out looking amazing. Like you've got someone like Locatelli, who everyone was screaming about after literally after his first game in the Euros, because I think it's because people saw someone that at such a young age that could control a whole midfield on his own.
Bear in mind that he is a DM, and I think for DM positions is a mature position. There's not many that can come in at a very, very young age and just control it. So anybody who's like above 21, you know, if it's like 24, I kind of think that is quite young for a DM mentally. So yeah, it's a fantastic point. Just going to sort of stop you there because we've actually got a caller. We've got Wira on the other end, and Wira, good to have you on the show. What is what are your thoughts?
Good. Yeah. According to it's basically Italy. The whole team is made up of players from various clubs. So I see the Spanish league is dead because back then you have Spanish. The Spanish team would have this majority of players from two clubs, either Real Madrid or Barcelona.
Yeah.
So how I judge whether we call it a farmers league is how diversified the national team is. So you have players like Nico Barella. The Italy team is made up of not just Juventus and not just of Juventus and AC Milan, but you have so many other clubs that having
very
players represent the home base. So you can't look down on Italy. You can't look down on the Serie A. You can't. Italian league is improving because Juventus stranglehold is weakening, and finally everyone else is Atalanta. There's Ruben Gosens. So plenty of players that are actually plenty of clubs are actually moving up the table, and it's good to see Serie A is opening up. But I don't see I don't see same thing happening anytime soon for the Spanish league because you still have Real Madrid. They're still going to be the ones at the top. They're going to attract all the talent, and everyone else is going to be feeding on scraps. Same with with the farmers league, with the French league. PSG is at the top because back then you used to have Marseille leading. I was young enough to see Marseille challenge with Lyon. So to say that the Italian league is crap league is because Juventus are finished. They're done. I'm happy. Oh man, they're done.
No, that it's a very good point. From what was talking about when it came to Italy, when you address sort of the talents from that Italian team and where they've come from, and actually to call out the Spanish league, because you are right, you are absolutely you've hit the nail on the head. You had a very small pool in terms of clubs. We had Real Madrid and Barcelona. That's probably not the case so much now. It is a bit more diverse, but I think with Italian football, other than perhaps Atalanta, and again, feel free in the live comments or on call to challenge me on that. But Atalanta kind of feel like that sort of surprise team in terms of that way that they want to play. That mad counter-attacking football. I'm not saying that nobody else does that, but they seem to be really good at that part. But It kind of feels like a lot of teams kind of play that same way. I think similar to like Bundesliga, everyone has that gentleman's agreement of how to play. It's like chess, it's the chess of football, of a
I
football.
was actually gonna say, I think if you're watching Serie A, you are watching probably the most tactical football in Europe, because everyone has a general idea of how everyone is going to play. It comes down to such fine margins on how you're going to win, because at this point it's not even just player power anymore, because Juventus they probably still have one of the best squads. You can't really say that team is that bad, but you're seeing them getting beaten struggling every week. And Max Allegri is not a joke he's not actually a joke of a manager. He we saw what he could do in Champions League. He took Juventus very, very far. They actually got beaten when they got beaten by Real Madrid and who were champions. So I think people you have to understand that league, especially some of the managers right now, because we just had Conte and we have Spalletti, we have Sarri as well. We've got some of the old men that are coming back, and I think they're trying to re-put that culture that was once lost.
Yeah,
and I think we're getting really, really, and right now it's actually looking very, very good in terms of the way teams are playing, how tactical matches are now, because it's literally, if anyone saw the Napoli versus Inter game, it was one of the I think that was probably the most exciting game I've watched this season, because it might not be goal heavy, but if you want to watch very, very tactical football, you can see the small changes, the subs, what people are meant to do, how people change their playing styles. And right now, you could actually argue it's actually the most competitive title race out of every top league in Europe. So can we really call it a bad league?
So Sam, I'm gonna paraphrase this. In short, are you saying that the Premier League is like arcade mode, whereas Serie A is like a simulation? It's a bit more complex.
Yeah, I feel like with the Premier League, because of the amount of money that's in it, you're able to just buy the certain players you want, get pretty much the best squad. If we've seen Chelsea do it, we've seen City do it, even United were bullying other clubs for years, just buying out their best player and bringing them in. In Serie A, first of all, I'm not gonna lie, everyone's broke right now, so they're not able to actually just buy out top talent anymore. They've even had to actually sell some of their best players in Ronaldo and Lukaku recently to actually make up finances. So they are looking to bring in managers that are more, it is trying to be more, this is, you have to work with what you have, and you have to make the best of it. And it has to be, it's very, very because the teams are becoming more of the same level now. So everyone is having to really kind of scrap and claw for what they have and the points that they get.
Yeah, but this is the thing. Are you worried that Juventus and the recent news with them, being investigated for financial irregularities again, do you think that's going to harm Serie A and its branding and its image? Because this isn't the first time it's happened to Juventus. It's happened to other teams. Juventus obviously the highest profile.
Yeah.
Is that going to have a knock-on effect? Because surely they're going to have to sell a number of their players, which means that the talent or the big players in that league are going to go elsewhere. They might get moved to different clubs internally. I always find it very weird how ancestral the Italian transfer market is. I'm pretty sure I saw Man City bid a crazy sum, 80 million for Chiellini. That got rejected, but then AC Milan offered 30 million and it was agreed. Make it make sense. I don't know. There must be some backhand deals going on there. Alleged backhand deals. But it's a weird one. Do you think that's going to have an impact?
Yeah, I'd first of all, the the whole serie, we know there's a lot of shady things that goes on. I'm not trying to, let me not speak too loud because I don't want some people knocking through my door. I don't want no envelopes with bullets inside. I don't want any of that. But yeah, I think with the whole recent incident, I don't know really, because it depends on how like the FA, not the FA, how FIFA and UEFA view them afterwards, especially UEFA. Because if you look at certain clubs like Real Madrid and Barcelona, well, up until recently, they've been able to get away with these kind of things and kind of still keep going, especially with Real Madrid, because everyone knows that they're pretty much state run at this point, that they'll get loans and then still continue on being a big club. I think I think instead of the whole league going down, I think we might get another situation where Juventus are the only people that really suffer. But Juventus have shown that they can come back from that and probably will again.
Yeah. So you think because of the rise, the rise of AC Milan, they've become a bit more relevant.
Yeah.
Inter still strong. Napoli,
Napoli.
still being quite consistent.
Yeah,
Atalanta. So okay, yeah, it's a fair point. It is a fair point. I personally don't see enough competition in Europe. So when I see, Inter supposed to be this dominating team in Serie A, well, what do they do in the Champions League? What have they done in the Champions League? AC Milan, this is the first year that they've been back in the Champions League after so long, and where do they finish?
Yeah, but
Atalanta, we're saying that they're great. They just got done by arguably a very bang average Manchester United team, and Villarreal, who we've talked about Emery and his tactics, etc. So is it really there, or is it kind of a bit overrated? In your opinion?
I think people just need to give it a bit of time because it is a recovery process. That word process has now given me PTSD, but I feel they're just slowly recovering from obviously a long time. As there was a long time where Italian football was just not the same anymore. I think they're just slowly getting back to having their own identity again.
Yeah,
and I think they're not quite fully there yet. And I think they just need a little bit more to push it over the line and get themselves back on top. I think within like the next, especially with the amount of young talent that we're seeing coming through, and a lot of people that are like more players are starting to choose to go to Serie A, and for some reason, and no striker. Even though you can get some pretty good strikers in Serie A, they will never leave. Any Italian striker will never leave Serie A. It's this weird thing. So I think like slowly we're gonna get more and more like increasing like player performances and player values and club values and club performances. And I think within like the next 3 to 5 years they'll get back to being on top again.
Wira, because you're still on. What are your thoughts? Do you think it's a bit overrated in terms of European competition? We talk. Let's go back to the pub league and this, that, and the other. And an element of that is how competitive you are in European leagues. Is in the Champions League or Europa League. Are we really seeing it from these guys? Mourinho was supposed to be coming back. To build up Roma again. And they're not exactly hitting the ground running, and even in the Conference League, it looks like they're sort of falling apart already. So, are we? Is it a bit of a false dawn, or is this, watch this space for Serie A, and maybe perhaps 2-3 seasons we might start to see something far more competitive?
No, I think is that with Juventus being investigated is fine. It's good. It's good for the Serie A because the rest of the league is gonna be. Finally now they're going to be watching over their spending and your salary caps and all that, because I see Juventus as a buying club. They buy the players and they buy the leagues lah. They used to call Chelsea, they used to call us. We bought the titles with Roman Abramovich, but come on, look at Juventus. They did it way before us. Like I feel that Atalanta, they're just like on their way to the top. I know right now Atalanta they're just basically an infant club in the infancy, So for me, I'm a fan of Inter. I watch
Yeah.
Atalanta when spare time. So yeah, I just feel like we just need Juventus to fall down for the rest of the clubs. The talent in the rest of the clubs to actually be seen by by the world, basically, yeah, Juventus used to be the one that's hogging all the limelight because of we are the top. So basically, once they are fallen off the crest, fallen off the throne, I think we will see a more competitive Serie A, a more competitive
Yeah.
Italian league, because there will be everyone will be, because every other clubs will be like, we need to use our academy because we don't have the finances to compete with Juventus,
Yeah.
so now Inter Milan stepping up, Lazio, Lazio could be, but what I'm saying is that the league is opening up more. So yeah, it's in the stage of rebranding itself as a competitive league, because back then it used to be, who's going to win a Scudetto? Juventus. Who's going to win the Italian Cup? Juventus. It just
Yeah.
became so boring and repetitive, and every season it was like, there's no time. It's no use watching. You just watch it for the entertainment value, hoping for a
Yeah.
giant killing. So
It was
right now
kind of
it's
like the
opening up.
Bundesliga. It was kind of like the Bundesliga that, especially
Yeah,
with there was not too long ago with Napoli that were really close to winning it,
almost. Yeah, they were almost
and
elite with Tari.
then
Yeah,
Juventus literally just went, okay, we're just gonna buy Ronaldo, and that's it, and
yeah,
basically killed
exactly.
any
They're
chance
buying
they had.
clubs. Exactly. Oh man.
Yeah,
Finally,
but
they're gonna be investigated, and that's good news for the Italian league.
Yeah.
Like I said, stop
Okay.
spending now. Invest in your academy. Italian league needs to. The Italian league needs to show that its academy is because for so long now we've not seen in the likes of Barella coming through the ranks. So yeah, it's time for Italian league to open up, and yeah, it's good for them. Good.
Yeah, I think that's a nice way to end that call. We're brilliant comments there, and yeah, it'd be good to have you back on soon. So yeah, thank you for your call.
Thank you.
Yeah, just looking at the live chats, we're talking about Patrick Stick on there. That's quite an interesting one. They're going back to the Blanc call. Someone's actually posted Sayat is Spanish. So Blanc, if you are listening, you're going to call back for the Liga segment with your comments on Europa League and Emery. You got your Sayat symbol. So yeah. So Sam, I don't know if you wanted to go through your Serie A player watch.
There's so many players. You've got the likes of Locatelli, of course, had a great Euros. Frederick Chiesa, absolutely outstanding young player. And he's just someone that understands football and the way it works. And he just always seems, I think the main thing is that he's really intelligent. He knows what to do and when. Like, you don't really ever see him put a foot wrong, which is one of the main aspects of what Italians like to be. Like, I think the whole thing is about football intelligence themselves. Like, you're not really gonna get a lot of people that, we're gonna now coach you to do this at this certain time. Is we teach you to be a smart footballer. And you've also got the Ligt, obviously from Ajax. He's slowly starting to adapt. His first season wasn't too great. His second season was a bit better, but I think he's slowly starting to adapt to the new league, and he's getting a good fix on there. For Fikayo Tomori, Chelsea are probably wishing they had him right now, because they absolutely fumbled it. This is a talented young centre back, and England need to call him up as well. Like, you have to call him up because you're going to lose him. He literally has been a breath of fresh air to that AC Milan defense. He came in and has absolutely been outstanding. And then obviously we need to point out my guy, Victor Osimhen, is I'm not even going to lie. He's not even especially clinical. He's not extremely clinical. He just constantly gets in the right places so often that he's bound to score again and again and again. And you're seeing his goal scoring record this season is absolutely insane. He's currently out with an injury, which is quite unfortunate because this has been probably his best season to date, and he's literally going to be bang. I think he's going to. Hopefully, he makes it back for AFCON, and we'll actually see he could possibly be top goal scorer during AFCON. We could see him probably be top goal scorer of Serie A as well. Yeah. So I think people should there are a lot of young talent, even someone that's a bit not quite there. We saw him in the Euros. Damsgaard came in for Christian Eriksen during the Euros, and England fans, you know what he can do. Absolutely stunning free kick, and just in general, his all-round play, he made it look like Eriksen was not missing. Lots of young talent there. It's not a retirement league. Some people will say it's a retirement league. It's not a retirement league. It's actually got some very young, exciting players ready to come through and ready to absolutely kill it.
Yeah. Guys, is Serie A a retirement league? Let's hear your thoughts. Let's hear on socials. Serie A retirement league ? There you go. No, Sam, that was awesome. And I know you're very sort of passionate about Serie A. Certain men that you've already gone through, but look, the next league on here, is a very interesting league. This is probably argued one of the best leagues of recent times. It's gone through a lot of disruption. The biggest players in the world is in Messi and Ronaldo have since left there, leaving a bit of a void. We're going to go on to La Liga, another league touted, the Farmers Liga, the Paella League. You always see these comments of slander and that thrown at it. I wouldn't have said it was a Farmers League in terms of recent times, because you looked at the European records in the Champions League, Real Madrid, the amount of times they won it. You looked at Barcelona. You look at the Europa League. The fact that in Europa League, Spanish teams always seem to come up trumps. Sevilla have won it, crazy amount of times. Villarreal won it, last season. Atletico Madrid, before they became very consistent in Champions League, were winning this competition on a regular occasion. So I think there has to be a level of respect. But the comments now is it as good? Are we looking? Do we care as much when it comes to comes into it? And as I've seen in live chats, guys call in. I know for a fact this is a really popular league, and I want to get your thoughts and really dissect this in terms of is this a dead league, or is this a league reborn? So I said the comments there with Messi and Ronaldo, who's really the superstar of that league? It seems like the big teams like Real Madrid and Barcelona, they want to get somebody, they want to get that big transfer in. They keep doing it. Real Madrid have tried with Hazard, it hasn't quite worked out. It's like this season, or the end of this season, summer, you're looking at Mbappe constantly being discussed. You're looking at Pogba being discussed. There's talks about Tchouaméni going over there. We just talked about earlier in the segment with Kamara going to Barcelona. They seem to be wanting to buy everybody. I'm not sure how with
their 1 billion debt, but sure.
I'm sure that's at the end of the day, I'm not sure where it's going. But there are people like Vinicius Junior who we are going to talk about in more detail. Benzema was very high up in the Ballon d'Or. So I look at Barcelona and we sort of laugh, there's a bit of a wry smile about them going to Europa League. But there's a changing of the guard. They've got the old president back who was very keen on La Masia and everything like that. You're looking at some talents coming through, which we're going to go through shortly. But we do have another caller in, M9 Chaka. How are you, brother? Are you good?
How are you today? How are you guys doing?
Yeah, very, very good. So what are your comments? Is this very La Liga centric, or is this on any other leagues? Feel free to discuss any point.
I mean, I think what you said before, I think it's going through a rebirth at the moment, with La Liga obviously losing two of their, you could call it, faces of La Liga. You're talking obviously Ronaldo and Messi both leaving La Liga, so the platform's there for some of the youngsters to actually take grasp of, being the face of La Liga. Obviously, you've got the likes of Vinicius Junior, Rodrigo, Freddie Valverde. I think there's a couple of other youngsters. You're talking Barcelona as well. Pedri. I think there's another under-19s player soon that's going to come up as well. That's really good. Goes by the name of Ilyasa Komash as well. So he's another guy that's a really hot prospect coming up. You've got Takefusa Kubo as well coming up.
Yeah.
I think even Alexander Isak as well coming up as well.
Yeah.
So yeah, the platform's right there for someone to be the face of La Liga. It's just now it's going to be really competitive in the sense of for these youngsters to actually show that now as well.
Competitive, or is it a showcase? Because going back, we're talking about what makes a league a pub league, and the level of things that we talked about was the competition, the talent. Now, I think it'd be disingenuous to talk about the talent not being there in La Liga. It's quite clearly there, and you've reeled off some really good names. I think actually, it'd be good to see that in the chat so people can actually research these players as well, because there's going to be players that people aren't necessarily familiar with, and so you have that, but when you look at the league title, is it competitive? Real Madrid seem to be sort of running away, but then could we argue that Atletico provides some level of competition? Barcelona are out, and I think they're going to be out for probably 1 or 2 seasons. I don't think it's going to be terminal,
hopefully forever.
Well, I don't think you'll be welcome to any Barcelona matches. But no, but look, if it's not those 3, who else? And I think that's the thing, isn't it? Like, we were generally surprised and in awe when Atletico Madrid won the league, and I think that probably tells you everything you need to know, doesn't it? Like, this is a massive team. And yet, when they win it, it's like, oh my goodness me, Barcelona and Real Madrid didn't win it. Like, I think that's a sign that perhaps the league isn't as competitive as perhaps people want to make out.
No, I think this year it has been, I'd say, a lot more competitive than it has for the past so many years, because obviously Barcelona, with them going through the financial difficulties as well. With the club, you've got the likes of Real Sociedad being up there, Sevilla as well, Villarreal as well. So yeah, I think it's just a matter of just watching these teams play and getting to know them, and you'll see obviously how competitive they actually are. I mean, you can't knock off Villarreal last year, obviously winning Europa League as well.
Yeah.
No comment.
They also gave Chelsea a good run as well.
Yeah, definitely. Again, you've got like the likes of Sevilla as well, Villarreal. So the competition is there. I think it's opened a lot more. I think especially with Real Madrid losing Zidane as well, and Ancelotti being there. Yeah, I mean, Ancelotti's a good manager, and obviously he's won the. I think he's the first person to win the La Decima at Real Madrid as well.
Yeah, that's a very good one.
So I think it's a lot more competitive than what it was for the past few years ago.
So there you go. Yeah, okay. Yeah, that's fair. Do you think that level of competition, from your point of view, is why they were so successful in Europe, in the CL, the UCL, and Europa League? Do you think that helps?
I think it's the competitiveness as well as having the right manager as well at the same time, because you've got to remember, you can be in a competitive league, but if you don't have the right manager, managing you, then you basically stand no chance, because they did beat some good teams on the way. I think en route to the final as well. I think they beat one of the Italian teams. I can't remember exactly who they beat, but obviously they did beat quite a few good teams en route. So
and Arsenal, obviously.
Yeah, and Arsenal as well. So yeah, this is what I mean. It's like with these Spanish teams, I think they're just going through. The league's going through a rebirth. So yeah, it's just one that you have to watch out for. I think it will take time as well.
Do you think La Liga, and I say La Liga, when we say we really kind of mean just Real Madrid, and do we think or feel that their greed in terms of trying to be the pinnacle, you know, for all these talents and the money that they've been pumping into these players is ultimately kind of killed that competition as they kind of look at and turn a blind eye to their homegrown talents. You know, we're you know, there was a caller earlier who was talking about how the Spanish teams aren't necessarily so focused around a couple of clubs now. It's a bit more spread out. A lot of players are coming from the continent. You know, they're not Spanish, you know, homegrown teams. You know, has that been a knock-on effect at the end of the day? Because this whole, like, since Neymar, it's like ever since the whole Neymar transfer, there's been this obsession. Let's get the next one. You know, Vinicius Junior is coming. Yeah,
I mean, in
exactly.
terms of the home talent, obviously the national team, obviously they've not replaced those sort of generation players that they had. Like you had Xavi, you had David Villa, David Silva as well. So Iniesta as well, Puyol as well. You know, I can just keep on rattling on so many names at the top of my head. But
well, the thing is, Shaka, and this is probably worthwhile now getting the player watch on here, because you know, and this kind of argues the other side of the coin in terms of, you know, is this a rebirth? You know, you've gone through a number of times, but we've done that sort of top five, and there's no really surprises here in terms of, I say top five. I think it's actually 6 on here. But you're looking at this, and the first player that you think of in terms of the talent is Pedri. You know, how can we, like, this is a guy who's won the Golden Boy and the Copper Award for this year. You watched him in the Euros, and I've got to say, this guy, again, you don't need stats to justify how good this player is. You just watch him, you just watch his movement on and off the ball. This guy is absolutely incredible, and I hope to God that he realizes that potential, because as I said, we want to be entertained, don't we? We want to be looking at these players go, wow. And I always looked at Barcelona, you know, under the last manager of Koeman, and it never made sense to me in my head about midfield. They got Busquets, they've got De Jong, and they've got they had Gavi and they've had Pedri. I'm just thinking, well, how is it with all that talent? You're still struggling. And we haven't even mentioned like the players they've got up top. So it's a bit of a conundrum for me. But then you see them for Spain under Enrique, and as I said, you see an incredible player. I just hope he doesn't get burnt out, because he played for Spain. I think he played for the under 23s in the
he did the
Olympics.
Euros, he did the Olympics. He hasn't stopped.
And Barcelona have been damsel in distress, so he's had to come in quite quickly. So for me, I'm thinking, like, you know, it's.
I think even the national team's having a rebirth, if anything, as well. Like you look at these players that they've had to replace, like, over time as well. So I think you're just starting to see these emerging talents popping up right now. So like I said, it's just a matter of years before they start, you know, absolutely balling out again. And let's not forget the Premier League have imported, obviously you've got your City that have brought in players like Emerick Laporte, Ferran Torres as well. You know, all these sort of players that have come through have come from La Liga as well.
That's a very fair point in terms of up and coming talent. There's 2 other Barca players that, you know, we're looking at. We've got Gavi and you've got Ansu Fati. Now I know Ansu Fati has had injuries, but again, this is a guy who really promises so much, and hopefully those serious knee injuries that he's had will quickly sort of disappear with more time that he kind of comes back into football. But incredible talents again. This guy's touted to be that future Ballon d'Or.
That next Messi that they're looking for.
I don't think there could be a next Messi at this point, but
that's what I'm hearing from the Barcelona fans. They're thinking he can be the one to take over. Not the same numbers, because Messi, I don't think we can establish him as a human anymore. But I think that person to take the reins and take the mantle of being that guy Barcelona is Ansu Fati, and the injuries did get him down quite bad. I think the way he comes back from it will be the determining factor on how his career will go. If he comes out better than ever, I don't think anyone's going to be able to realistically stop him anytime soon.
Yeah, and I think sort of going sort of forward, you've got some Real Sociedad have had a fairly solid season. You're starting to see different teams perhaps feature, fill that rest of the top four. I know Sevilla have always been quite strong. They're kind of one of those teams which I don't think people respect because they appear in a Champions League, they finish third, but they end up winning Europa. They're that type of team, and
they just do it again.
I don't know. I think there's a bit of English snobbery when it comes to Europa League. I'm happy to say it. I'm happy to say it here. Sorry, Chaka.
I think even I think even Real Betis are having a decent season as well.
Yeah,
as well. Yeah.
It's been a long time. So relevant.
That's been way too long.
But with Europe, I think there's been a bit of English snobbery when it comes to Europa League, because for me, not only do I feel that the Europa League is better than Champions League, that's just a personal preference, but the talent that you actually see, I think that you tend to get more of a showcase of the next ones coming through. Because of Europa League, I saw Llorente and Herrera, Christian Eriksen. I've seen Tillemans, then Donker. We talked recently with Dennis, who actually is having a fine season at Watford. I watched him playing for Club Bruges and kicking it in the Europa League. So you always do see these players. I think you end up seeing it more in Europa League than the Champions League. And again, when you want to look for that next up and coming, talent,
a little bit on the cheap side as well.
Yeah, they're on the cheap, aren't they? They're not going to be 50, 60 million.
Yeah.
So I do like it from that point of view. I get why obviously people like Champions League, because obviously you've got the bigger teams there, but I like it for that point. And it's also a nice opportunity for any clubs who are in it to showcase their youngsters. So, for example, with Manchester United, if Manchester United were in the Champions League, would we have seen Mason Greenwood? Mason Greenwood would have had the same impact. Probably not.
Marcus Rashford.
Marcus Rashford is another example of that. No, if there's other teams, then say so. But as I said, I always see this snobbery when it comes to Europa League, and for me with Spain, I feel like they treat it with the respect that it does deserve, which is it's a cup competition, it's a European trophy, and it's if you win it, that's massive. It's massive for their clubs, and I don't think it matters what that club is. I said Atletico Madrid, I think if they win it, they view it as success. They don't go, oh, it's a Mickey Mouse Cup or BTEC Cup. There's none of that. There's none of that in Spain.
I think though it's because like the Premier League teams don't have the greatest record in the Europa. Like we've had a lot of fails, and especially with the likes of last season, losing to a club that have never won a major trophy was probably quite bad for United. And we've seen other clubs come in. We've seen even Wolves. Their run was decent, but they didn't make it quite fun. I think because they've not done so well, they're kind of like, they try and downplay it to make their loss like, we didn't care about it anyway. And I think it's a bit of saltiness. Like they want to do better, but they haven't done better because these clubs take it a lot more seriously. If you saw Villarreal, especially, they took that final more seriously than I've even seen teams taking Champions League for finals. Like they absolutely played with their hearts out. You had Juan Foyth bleeding, full on, like the guy was full on bleeding, and he said, "No, I'm playing for this club." He's from Spurs, so I don't know how he knows about trophies, but I
was desperate. That's what desperation does to a man.
But yeah, these other clubs do kind of view that trophy as like, this is something to win, and it's not just something to get back into the Champions League. Because they take it seriously. I think, and the only team that I've really seen take that competition quite seriously was Chelsea. That's because Abramovich has a rule that if you don't win a trophy, you're getting sacked. So I
Yeah,
think
yeah.
Sarri was more of just like, I need to win this to have some form of like mainstay at this club. Yeah, and I think because other clubs don't take it as seriously, I think they've just have a stronghold because they know what it means to win to win a trophy. I think it's also because a lot of these clubs know that they'll never win the La Liga title because it's dominated by two clubs. This might be their only chance to win a major trophy that season, and I think that's what encourages them to actually go on ahead and fight for this trophy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you know, going back to the player watch, you know, we've got Isak. Now, Isak seems to be. I can see this causing a bit of controversy behind the scenes because a lot of people rate him, and when you look at his goals in terms of what he did, certainly last season, and compared it to other players of a similar age in Europe, he is up there. I don't think that can be disputed. But he must be deemed a talent. He must be deemed a talent. You know, he is integral to one of their cup trophies, and this guy is producing the numbers. So why, you know, we have to recognise it. I think it'd be disingenuous to go, oh, well, Mason Greenwood is world class because he's got all these goals, and then Isak is a bum, but he's had as many, if not more, goals. So I think the conversation's there to be had, and maybe that could be again another subject in the future in terms of, you know, a player profile on Isak.
Yeah,
but it is a player. He is a player. Now, Shaka, Sam, Shaka, we'll go with you first. What are your thoughts on Isak?
I think he's an exceptional talent. Yeah, as you said, you know, spoke facts about his numbers as well. Yeah, he's scored loads of goals this year. He's doing quite well, I think, and it's only a matter of time before I think a top Premier League club comes around, you know, sniffing, you know, and sniffing for him. It's only a matter of time. I know it didn't quite work out for him at Dortmund, but yeah, he's doing exceptionally well, I think, in La Liga.
Yeah. He's literally he's shown a level of maturity that you don't really see in a lot of young, as in terms of young strikers. You don't really get that many great young strikers right now. Even when you're talking about Mason Greenwood, yes, he's a great talent, but his actual performances have been very iffy. Granted, you can also say it's because of the club, but if you look at Isak and what he's been doing, it's in his age group, I don't think there are many strikers that can really talk to him and say, oh, I can do this, or I've done this. Like even in the Euros, people talk about his goal tally in the Euros, but in modern strikers, it's not just about goals. Everything else he was doing to just like the hold up play, the link up play, the way he was shrugging off defenders was actually very important. The way he quickly thought to win a penalty as well. I think he's got all the tools to succeed. And I think that it's quite good because considering his time at Dortmund wasn't very good, I think people thought that he might just be another flash, that he might just go off. But now he's come back, and he's actually come back with basically with a vengeance.
Yeah,
and I think I think he's looked at his time at Dortmund, and I think that's angered him. I think he's using that disappointment and anger to motivate him to be a better player. And I think, I think most likely though, for his career, I don't know how it'll go, but I think most likely he would go to an Arsenal where they desperately need that kind of player.
Yeah. Just looking at the live comments, I'm seeing comments saying that Isak should follow the Aguero route out of Spain and into England to further his career. Also the fact that Sociedad isn't showing Isak the ambition to compete for titles, he needs to leave La Liga. So not particularly ringing endorsement of La Liga. If you're in the best league, it's you should probably stay. But no, it's a fair point. Maybe if you look at his profile, maybe he is better suited to be in the Prem. But sort of moving on, Shaka, any sort of final thoughts before you go? And so thank you for your time. What?
No problem.
Give me a top 5 in terms of, we've had this conversation about are the European leagues, are they farmers leagues? Let's hear your top 5 then.
Oh, it's a difficult one for me. I'd say Premier League being number 1, of course. I think possibly Bundesliga second. It's a close second between them and Serie A, I'd say.
Okay.
And then I'd probably have La Liga just under them.
And then Ligue 1 last.
Yeah.
Okay.
Cool.
It's just with for me with La Liga and Liga, and we have obviously the talents and whatnot, the players there, but there's not a face, I'd say, the one that's gonna obviously take the light. I think once Mbappe obviously looks like he's leaving, goes to Real Madrid, I think he's gonna obviously take the light, I think, with him, and gonna be the face of La Liga, I think.
Yeah. I think that's fair enough. It's interesting
it is difficult. It is difficult choosing, between second and 4th and 5th.
Yeah, no, it's interesting. It's interesting with the fact that everybody's saying French league is still last. There's been a number of calls with that, but no, Shaka, I appreciate your comments on that. And again, good call as always, and then we'll see you soon.
See you soon, mate.
Nice one. Cheers.
Cheers.
Thank you.
Yeah, seeing K9, La Liga is a terrible now. Terrible. Yeah, it is terrible now, to be fair. Help if I could speak. Serie A second, Bundesliga third. So it'll be interesting, Kay, if you want to come on to get your thoughts on that. The link is in the description below, so feel free to hit up and call in. Sam, some really good points there. Really good points. I want to now sort of talk about the, just to cap off the player watch. You got the guy at the moment who seems to be causing a lot of attention, Vinicius Jr. Now, he signed a few seasons back, didn't he? And it seems to have taken a while. I saw some slanderous posts about how Benzema, what Benzema thought about him. But he seems to be coming up top trump since then. Like he is getting clutch moments. I don't think that can be disputed. I don't know, what are your thoughts?
That's first of all, Vinicius Jr. is just an Ancelotti player. If you've ever I didn't like, people will say, oh, James might be that kind of player, but if you look at the way Vinicius plays, the way, I think it's just the fact that he has a similar play style to Marcus Rashford, where it's just very direct and very he's just going to get the ball and run directly into the defense, whether it comes off or not. I don't think he really cares. But I think the big difference is because Ancelotti has kind of crafted it a bit. He's kind of made it so that, yes, you can still run, but run like this. Don't just run completely blind with no idea of what you're doing.
Yeah,
I think with Vinicius Jr., because he's also a bit young, he's slowly learning the fact that being just not just going into things a bit just haywire and a bit erratic, just being a bit more because Son Heung-min is also a very direct player. He's also a bit more intelligent with his directness. I think he's slowly going that route of being direct but also intelligent. And his goals, his goal tally speaks for itself. Granted, I'm still not fully convinced because it's been half a season.
Not everybody can be this sort of close control, techie, Messi, Hazard. Sometimes you do need a direct player, and I think these types of players seem to get a bad press. Maybe because on the eye, the optics is not as sexy, but at the end of the day, football's about just being effective in your area for your team. If you're an attacker and you're getting goals, it doesn't matter how those goals come. It's whether you're doing it or not. And then that's the thing. Once you cross that white line, it's about having that end product. And he's starting to do that. As you said, Ancelotti might go. and he might go back to the player of former years. But well, because I know we got the gentleman, we got Blang back. He hasn't changed his profile pic. He hasn't got for the Seat symbol. He hasn't gone for the Seat symbol. So Blang, welcome back, because I know you had a few really intriguing points about Spanish teams, isn't it? It was really from the fact that, you know, Europa League, and you were talking about Emre. So yeah, let's hear more about it.
Is it the league, or in general, or is it the aspects of the league? Would you say?
Well,
are we trying to talk about? Yeah, cool.
Yeah, well, so, you know, in terms of La Liga, discussion point has been around: is it a dead league, or is it a case of actually is this a league reborn? Now, you touched upon the European successes in terms of, you know, Champions League and Europa League, and the mentality and the tactics that have been employed. So yeah, I thought there was a really sort of interesting bits, and now that we're on the La Liga segment, yeah, it'll be good to sort of get your view on that. Just sort of elaborate on your points.
Yeah, but to start with, in terms of viewership, it's definitely had a dip, isn't it? And with post Messi and Ronaldo, it just isn't helping them, because I feel like if there's one, or if there's like anything that's going to garner more attention, it has to be Messi, Ronaldo. Like the GOAT debates, it's always been there. And Real Madrid, Barcelona, they were a match made in heaven, the rivalries, and for Messi to go to, you know, Barcelona and Ronaldo to Real Madrid actually boosted the league in terms of viewership.
Yeah.
But I feel like, you know, I don't want to come across as arrogant, or maybe I am ignorant, but I'd like to say I feel like Premier League has gained this notorious foothold, not just in the Europe region, but also when you talk about the Americas, and also Middle East, even I mean, not so Middle East, but Asian countries, or even Southeast Asia. They've actually, I feel like it's got to do with the amount of work they've put in terms of publicizing the league, and also the brand of football. One thing they've done is, apart from promoting the league, they've actually made sure, I'm not sure if it's an agreement that they've had, you know, indoors, but I feel like if you have to make a team successful, you need to have a good setup. Well, Barcelona has a good setup. Real Madrid has a good setup, but the only thing that's missing is probably a world-class manager. If you take a look at all the world-class most of the world-class managers, they're in the Premier League. And every single one of them, you talk about City, Liverpool, Chelsea, now Man United, well, they all have a different style. It's not just one style. Like, you got possession in Pep, you got intensity in Klopp. Rangnick is also, you know, doing the same. And then Tuchel is always, you know, comes across as pragmatic too. And with Conte now in the mix, like, I feel like Premier League has become more attractive because they actually offer enough cash reserves for a manager to get set up and also implement a style of play. I feel like the league is being made like, you know, a Samsung, you know, is being made to look like a friendly phone, a user-friendly phone, like an Android, or let's say even a Nokia in those days. But with La Liga, let's be honest. Do you think Real Madrid and Barcelona are they going to get overthrown? Well, Atletico Madrid did their, you know, fair do, but then it's simply not enough, isn't it? Like, it can only get you to somewhere until you have an era-defining manager. I personally don't think, you know, there's going to be a Sevilla or Valencia that are going to create upset. I feel like we have to give it time. But yeah, in that point, But by that, go on. Sorry.
Well, for me, you really come across an interesting point about the Premier League and the way its product is gone to, like, your Americas. You know, it's massive in Africa and Nigeria. You know, in India, it's pretty big. Well, it's big all around the world, isn't it? It's the number one football product. You know, is that perhaps where this all boils down to? You know, in terms of, look, you're only going to really back what you watch and see, and if it's a case of, are the other four sort of continental teams victims of just poorer marketing? I'm not saying it's poor, but it's poorer in terms of compared to the Premier League. And maybe this is where the whole pub league, farmers league slights all come in, because actually we don't see that.
Yeah,
you know,
yeah,
absolutely.
yeah. Because I said it earlier that because the availability during the era of social media has just not been there. Even La Liga now, it's not even, can you really catch a game on TV? You have to get the app for it, and it's just like,
yes,
like slowly you're just not really gonna like want to watch it because it's so much effort that you have to pay like a whole nother contract to watch it. Luckily, I think that's why also Serie A is coming back. It's because it's also now available on BT Sport, and you can just like go in and watch it. And I think the French league is also available. I think that's why you're getting a lot more recognition into those leagues. And I think I think people are learning to adapt. I think the main thing is that the Premier League have done the big marketing deals that they did to get themselves shown in America and all over the world has enabled people to think, oh, when you think about football now, you think about the Premier League. They've literally built their level of association so high that as soon as you mention the Premier League, you actually think, oh, you think Premier League, Man United, City, Liverpool, etc., etc.
But Sam, this is where Perez's comments surely strike a note. If these European leagues aren't selling their brands well enough, and they're being crippled, if it's you look, we've had the COVID-19 pandemic, and from that it has crippled certain clubs, it has crippled certain leagues. So if he is seeing what the future fan base is looking at, who want more entertainment and they want to see bigger teams, surely that really does identify where these clubs are at, or what the football leagues are at. If he's challenging the lack of creativity in terms of marketing their products.
He's identified the problem, but the solution isn't. All the solution does is just eliminates. Like all you've done just shifted the problem. So all he planned to really do was take the teams that were already the main focal points of their leagues and then just take them out and put them into their own league, which all that does is it just moves the issue. It doesn't really actually you're not actually doing anything for that league. You're just taking the best from that league and leaving everyone else to suffer. If you took out because of the way English football works, especially that everything trickles down from the top down. If you take out the top teams from it, you're literally making everyone else suffer even more.
Yeah.
So I think the solution is to have football deals that you can actually maybe creating exclusive football channels that literally just show football games to get people that level of exposure to like all these different styles. Because obviously, I think maybe top 5 leagues for now, because I don't think anyone's is gonna now watch Eredivisie for just Ajax. I think you need to be a bit more realistic, but having maybe like a football app or something that you can subscribe to, that you can actually just get a lot of football content, so you can even and when people are more able to just have access to these things, you'll get more people watching and willing to watch it, rather than just taking out the best of it and creating a whole new league.
Okay, Blank. I've asked a number of callers this. What is your top 5? Let's go from the worst to the best, because we've heard that the Prem is number 1. So what's your worst? Number 5. What's number 5?
I really won't. I really wouldn't put number 5. I'd say it's tied between Serie A and Ligue 1. For all the progressive the competition, it's been fierce in Ligue 1, if anything. And Serie A, have actually dipped. And I feel like it's alarm bells at the moment there, because they've actually lost a lot of star-studded players to Premier League because they couldn't cope up with the Corona epidemic, is it? And then both that, I'd say Bundesliga, because of the way of the style. I feel like the style today is to play intensity football, and a lot of successful managers, they play the same trade. And I feel like Bundesliga has earned this reputation to probably say the third. In fact, they could actually challenge for the second place. La Liga, like Sam said, I actually want to add that further. It's scary, but it's actually true. They've actually sold their imaging rights to Disney. So Disney's going to probably broadcast La Liga from this year, probably the next year, and it was for 5 billion. It's nothing compared. It's peanuts compared to what Premier League has. Like, there's a lot of takers for Premier League, and for example, in my case in India, I used to even tell to my friends, like, it's like La Liga has dropped so much that there's no broadcasters in India. Like, everyone's watching in Facebook, and for Premier League there are apps. You pay for it, and people do pay for it. And if you take the number of viewership on an average, an Arsenal game, or let's say even a Norwich game, fetches you 20,000 views on a week. So I feel like the way Premier League has done it, because they've understood their weaknesses. They don't have they initially didn't have stars because they lost Messi, Ronaldo. The Liga didn't capitalize on it, and I feel like it's a sad story. And it's and that's why I feel like Perez is trying to push the all European League. In my opinion, the truth is he needs the help of the Premier League clubs to get attention back to his their respective clubs, because Premier League, the domination, and with the social media era, it's I don't think there's any league that's going to catch up. They've lost a lot of ground, and unfortunately for these, I feel like they have to either invest massively or probably accept or sulk it in. That's it. So for me,
okay, and then the Prem, unsurprisingly, number one. So
with respect to recent achievements, because with respect to recent achievements, and I feel like recently a lot of Premier League teams have stepped up, and like them showing up in the latter stages, and of course some of the winning shows that Premier League is actually dominant. Not just because of the roster of the players, the quality of the managers, and also the success in the Champions League stages. But
cool. Okay, Bang. No, thank you for calling back on that part on the League 7, and hopefully we'll have you on the show again soon. So thank you so much.
I'd say keep up doing the good work, guys. Keep up doing the good work. I enjoy it absolutely, and it's always a pleasure. Thank you. I think have a great day.
Yeah, thank you. I think that's probably a good note to end on. But Sam, I think today a lot of good calls, a lot of interesting insights. We've discussed about how all these different leagues are better than perhaps people give them credit for. But guys, what are your views on this? Don't forget to hit the ministry socials. Give us your view. Give us your top 5 in terms of European leagues. Let's see if we can get some general comments, maybe a voting arranged. But let's just go top 5 European leagues. Hashtag the uncomfortable truth and in the ministry. Let's get some real interaction going on this one. So I said, don't forget to share this. Like and subscribe. This is a general chat about European leagues, so you can always come back to this. And great calls, Sam. Great insight, certainly with the Italian league.
Thank you.
Next week is going to be a big one, so stay tuned for that. It's going to be the Big Ten. We've reached double figures by hook and crook. But guys, as I said, really good.